Hello and welcome to this video on the kidney transplant chain. Organ transplant is a miracle of modern medicine. The right person at the right time and the right recipient. Each of these is almost a needle in a haystack, which is why the need for organ donors is desperate at present. The organ transplant chain attempts to overcome some of the limitations in finding the right donor for the right recipient at the right time. Before getting into the details of this process, some background on transplants is needed. Organ donations are needed by those whose own organs have failed. This can be due to damage from drugs, diseases, and hereditary defects. Examples of each are liver damage from drug overdoses, cancer in the lungs, heart defects in children and adults. Each organ needs to be matched in different time frames. Some are as little as 4 hours in the case of a heart, and up to 36 hours for kidneys. Other organs include the liver, lungs, intestines, corneas, and skin. In order to get a match, the donor and recipient's blood type are entered into a database, and each is ranked according to need, urgency, survivability, availability, services of the hospital, and distances between the donor and recipient. Assuming the patient is successful, then each person has 6 basic tissue antigens tested for. These are received equally from parents. The markers tell doctors which donor will be the best recipient from a donor. A best match would be 6 of 6 of these antigens. However, in some cases, matching one antigen may make a more successful transplant than the 5 or 6 total markers. It very much depends on what each of the donor and recipient's antigens are. The best matches occur between related individuals who donate their organs. Cross-matching is a blood test for both the donor and the recipient, and they will have to undergo this at least 2 times at different times to see if the recipient will react to the donor's blood. This is followed by other tests about physical well-being and anatomical issues. If all is successful, then the recipient can go forward with the donation surgery. Getting a donor who matches all of the necessary antigens is within distance, and the other factors under consideration is a small probability. One of the most common organs in need is kidneys, which can be damaged by kidney disease and more. This is why more than 4,500 Americans die every year waiting on a donation, even when a viable match exists. The donors cannot receive the kidney due to time, location, or other barriers to the donation occurring. 604 donations come from deceased donors each year, and another 383 donations from living donors. This number is nowhere near adequate to meet the needs of the 90,000 recipients waiting on a kidney. The transplant chain attempts to resolve this by having strangers donate organs, specifically kidneys. This whole process works by substituting a donor who is not a match for someone who is. For example, a couple exists. One of them is ill and needs a new kidney. The partner is not a match but willing to donate their kidney. Ideally, they are blood type O negative, as this is the most likely to be a successful transplant for more donors. A benevolent stranger offers their kidney to the ill person, and in exchange, the willing partner donates their kidney to another person who needs one, and that they are a match for. This otherwise simple concept can grow to extraordinary lengths, with up to 56 donations ignited by one kind person. The literature in this area shows that for every one donor who begins a chain, it facilitates another 5 transplants on average. The kidney transplant chain works because the human body can get by with one functional kidney. The remaining kidney grows larger, has a higher flow rate, and ultimately achieves about 90% of the original capacity of 2 kidneys. This is why a donor can give up one without serious adverse effects. The best match is a relative, but not all relatives are a match. The kidney donation chain expands the pool of people who can receive a kidney. It satisfies the needs of the recipient and the relative who would have otherwise donated were it possible, and they donate the same kidney to another individual who could use it. It is exemplified by this image. Unfortunately, a new study shows that exchange platforms are not as efficient as they could and should be. They are missing out on 25 to 55% of possible live donor matches. This whole arrangement works because a living donor can start the process and still live. This is not possible for most other organs like the lungs or heart. The exceptions to this are the liver and intestine. Surgeons can use these by removing the diseased liver or portions of it and placing a donated liver portion in the recipient's body, connecting the blood vessels and bile ducts, and effectively providing a boost to the liver's function. The transplanted liver in the recipient, as well as the portion left behind in the donor, will regenerate and very quickly. They'll normally achieve normal function and volume within a couple of months. An intestinal donation can come from a living donor. This will not regenerate, but in many cases the amount taken is not going to reduce the quality or longevity of life, much after recovery is complete. For intestines, most often donations come from the deceased. A kidney donor chain requires opportunities for endless recipient-donor pairings. More or less, so long as you have someone willing to donate a kidney to start the process, and provide one to someone that they match with but has a willing partner who would otherwise have donated their organs to them, the entire process can continue in perpetuity. It does start with one altruistic person. That kidney is transplanted into a recipient who had a donor willing to give a kidney that was not a match. In order to keep the chain going, the incompatible donor must be willing to give their kidney to a patient unknown to them. It is the epitome of paying forward a good deed. Thank you for watching this video. If you have found it interesting, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please post any comments, questions, or suggestions below.